Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Wherever you are in the world today, I hope that you are doing well. And most importantly, my friends, I hope that you and your loved ones are in good health. Once again, welcome to the Common Sense channel. On this channel, we talk about those things that people know, that people have thought about, but don't often have the time to discuss. These, my friends, are the things we talk about here on the Common Sense channel. So, for today's topic, and this is something that I wanted to talk about for a long time now, but I kept holding on to it. But for some reason, today, I want to talk about it. And I want to talk about this subject from a different angle. So I would title this subject, The American Dream from the Common Sense Perspective. So that's the angle I'm going to be talking about this subject on this specific video. So the American Dream can be interpreted in so many ways. It's almost as if it's in the eyes of the beholder. But today on the Common Sense channel, we're going to look at the American dream, not from the usual narrative, which is hard work, dedication, consistency, and you will achieve the American dream, which is what had been told to many people, including immigrants from other parts of the world that make their way to this country. But I'm going to show you another understanding of the American dream that no one ever talks about. And as far as I'm concerned, and as far as the Common Sense channel is concerned, the American dream has nothing, absolutely nothing, to do with hard work, commitment, and dedication. The American dreams, or the American dream, my friend, is a state of mind. Listen to it yourself. It's the American dream. It's a dream. What is a dream? A dream are things you anticipate for now or sometime in the future. That's a dream. You're dreaming of it, whether it happen now or it will happen in the future. But I want to tell you that the American dream is a state of mind, and it has a historical connection to it. If you remember history, I'm a lover of history, so I always like to fall back on history. The first group of people, we may say they're the first group of people, but there are people here on the land. When these people came, they were the pilgrims or the Puritan, whatever you want to call them. They were dreamers. You understand? They came all the way from Europe. The dream, which is what all of us today are dreaming of, was to make this place a utopia, little heaven on earth, a religious utopia, you understand, where they worship their God, you understand? That was their dream. But not only did they have that dream, their state of mind was what passed down from one generation, because I believe in the ancestors. And like I've always said, the ancestors are within you. And the reason why I think so is because You are the representation on earth into eternity. You understand? So whatever gene was passed down to your generation, has been passed down over to you. So whatever aspirations this individual had when they first arrived in this country, whatever attitude, whatever state of mind and dream came with to this country, it's the same aspiration, state of mind that are being passed down from one generation to another. That, my friend, is the American dream. And as I go along into this video, you will start to understand why I'm saying the American dream is nothing but a state of mind. It's the way you think that is the American dream. You understand? So when the first group of people arrived here from Europe, their intention was to make this place, this continent, a religious utopia. They were not thinking about capitalism. They were not thinking that everything they were anticipating was not what it is today. But they knew that someday that dream of what they had would become the reality or the dream of all the people that will help to make this place the United States of America. You understand? So it's the same thing today. That's the reason why someone in a distant land with nothing, only a dream or an aspiration, would travel from wherever they are in the world and would come here and look at the situation. But the whole thing works this way. Just like the first people that came, they already had a plan. Again, a state of mind from wherever they were, that when they get here, this is what they would do to get here. So it's a state of mind instead of the idea of you working harder, because there are people. And again, I want to say this. When I say it's a state of mind, it starts from the time you were born. The American dream begun or begins from the moment you are born. You start to look at your environment. And the American dream can happen anywhere in the world too. It's just a state of mind again. So you look at your condition, you look at your environment, you look at the people around you, and you say, hell no, I'm not going to endure that. I'm not going to go through this. You say, maybe my parents went through this, but I am not going to go through that. I'm going to channel a new direction, and this is what I'm going to do. But, because I believe that nobody starts and rise instantly. It takes time. It is just like the baby that was born a year, close to 2 years. And now that baby had to learn how to crawl, how to hold on to something, and then eventually standing up to it, and then eventually learning to stand up by his or herself, and then eventually attempting to walk. It's the same thing. It's the same method that applies to the American dream. It's a state of mind. It's how you think about your situation and you make it through. The people before you, your ancestors, they have already laid the foundation for you. So you cannot say you have to work harder to get the American dream. That notion is an illusion and a lie. You don't need to work harder to get the American dream. What you do need is to change the mindset and to say to yourself, I can do it. I can do it because it has been done. And my friend, that, my friend, is the American dream. So, we're seeing people from every part of the world, just like the first people that came here from Europe. You understand? They come to this country. They say to themselves, I might work 2 jobs before a while, but my intentions are not to do this for the rest of my life. Get it? My intention is to crawl, and eventually I may stand up. And then once I stand up, then I can walk alone. That, my friend, is the American dream. So it's actually a state of mind. Although sometimes they want to tell you it's hard work. But we've seen people who work harder all their life, and at the same time, they still have to work again. But my friends, all those people that you see successful today, it didn't come by hard work. But what does that mean, hard work? So when you say hard work, are you talking about physical hard work? If you're talking about physical hard work, I can say yes. And I can say no. Because if you're working harder mentally, your body wouldn't do the work. It's your mind that's doing the work. You understand? So if it's education you're working towards, you ask yourself, am I going to school to sell my ideas to someone? Or am I going to work to use my mental capacity to make other people use their state of mind to make me rich? You get it? So people who are from other country, when they arrive into this country, whatever is it they want to do in this country, because they already been told, they are already oriented as to what the American dream is. So they already have their dreams in their homeland, in their home country. When they arrive here, those first 2 years are just observation. Again, a state of mind. Has nothing to do with the hard work narrative. It has nothing to do with the continuous dedication, and tireless night, no sleep. No, has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with the way you think. And the way you think is what gives you the American dream that they talk of. Although sometimes people say it's slipping away, I agree too. But again, it's how you think about it. You understand? So those people from distant land, they come here. Those first 2 years, they may do whatever that comes their way. They, in the meantime, are observing and looking at the situation and trying to find other ways to accommodate themselves in that situation. You understand? I often like to look at things different. Sometimes I get in trouble because of the way I look at things. Some people don't like that. But I always stick to that because that's who I am. I'm not going to change who I am for anything. You understand? For me, that's a state of mind. You understand? I feel that this is who I am. So if you either accept it or you don't. And if you don't want to accept my state of mind, then that's fine. I can find someone else that understand my state of mind. You understand? That's the American dream. You understand? Now there are people that want to bypass, again, that's also a state of mind too. When someone say, you know what, I'm not waiting, I don't have to go through all that length to wait here where I have to crawl and then I have to hold on to something and then eventually start walking. No, I don't want to do all of that. I just want to go straight forward and get the American dream. Yes, you can do that. But remember, your ancestors that came into this country, they just didn't come here. And then all of a sudden, they got the American dreams. If they were slaves, they had to have worked, go to terrible situation for them to earn that American dream. They were patient, they were hoping, and some of them were praying for them to get that. And that's the American dream. And they were hoping, praying, and doing all that stuff. And then they got it with hard work. And you say, look, I don't want to go through all that, but I can experience the American dream. The way the system is set up, they will allow you to go as far as you want to go. But once you trip, the system has eyes. It would see you. And then you get in trouble. So there are those that want to bypass and get on a fast lane in the American dream. And then they get caught. So in as much as the American dream is a state of mind, as I think of it, instead of hard work and dedication and commitment, those people who don't want to be patient as their ancestors had been, they're the ones that fall in the cracks in the American dream. You understand? So the American dream is real, but it's only real when you are willing to think beyond whatever is presented to you in the physical, whatever is shown to you in the real, in your community. And it's you looking at the condition of your own reality and saying to yourself, how long can I stay in that reality, and changing things around? Sometimes some people may look at the situation, if you really didn't have it set up in your mind initially, And like if you're not an immigrant from another country, so you're not looking at it that way. Because some immigrants, they're like already made up their mind based on whatever was told to them that look, I'm coming here after 2 years, I start my business. I don't wanna I don't wanna lend. I don't wanna give my expertise to anyone. Whatever my expertise are, I want that expertise to be used for me. I don't want to use it for anyone because in a capitalistic society, like in America, when someone hires you, basically they're buying your expertise. So you become the I, you become the one to think for them, and you become the one to make money for them. And some people look at that and say, no, I have this expertise. I can use this expertise for myself. All of that, my friend, is a state of mind. And you see, there are a group of people that comes to this country that don't work for no one. Not that they are better than the other people. For them, it's cultural. For them in the country, they rather do their little business than to go out and work for someone. So it's something that's already ingrained in them. Now, in this country, that's going to make it possible for you to grow better, to grow faster. You see? So that's the difference. And that's why when you notice people like that, from whatever countries they're from, when they come here, their mindset is not set on the ideal American capitalistic viewpoint that everyone is laborer. No. Or everyone is just a working class. No. Their mindset is set on, look, I will do my own business. I don't care whether it's tough starting, but this is how I am orientated to do these things. I saw my mom doing it. I saw my dad doing it. I saw my whole generation owning their own business. So if I'm here where the possibility is maybe 100%, why won't I venture into it? You know, and like I'm gonna say this, that's the reason why I personally, I don't have anything against rich people. Because I can see their state of mind. You know, these are individuals that they age faster too. Because there are times they have no sleep. There are times they're out there. They work more hours than you, but most people never talk about that. They just think that they're laying somewhere on the beach. You know, everything is good. They hardly have, in the entire day, they are either on the phone, talking to this, talking to that, or doing a video conference. They are very busy. You understand? So if they go out and try to get a brand new car, you know, because all of that is just bonus of the American dream. Those are all bonuses. The fancy house, the nice cars, these are all bonuses. You understand? So again, the American dream is nothing but a state of mind. And that's the reason why a lot of people are feeling upset nowadays, because they're sitting there and they're saying, I've put in all this time, I've put in all this energy, commitment, and everything, and look at me now. But they didn't understand initially it's the way you think. Because if you are employed in a company that does timber or make cars, you know, you've been there for 10 years. After the 10 years, if you're not thinking about starting your own little automobile company somewhere, or pulling together your resource or talking to people with like-minded people to replicate whatever it is that you've learned, adapt a company, you cannot blame the company if they go down sometime in the future, or you ended up with nothing. Because that's enough time for you to sit and think about What can I do to make, even if you don't go into that kind of business, but it's enough time for you to think about doing something, that something on the side or something that will add to your whatever it is that you're doing. You see? So that's the American dream. It's actually the way you think. It's you asking the right question to yourself. It's you asking the engaging with the right people, networking with the right people. Has nothing to do with hard work. Because if that's the case, you wouldn't see a lot of our elders today. They're in the 70s and they're still working, which is sad. But that's the reality. And that's not supposed to be the case. If it was hard work, their hard work should have been rewarded, But they feel that they had to because of the cost of living. Had they ventured into other things, life would have never been the same. So it's the way you think. And once you start to change your mindset, the American dream will bend to you. I'm telling you, it will bend your way. It's just a mindset. It's just the way you think. And that's the reason why you see people who are inventive. For example, Nikola Tesla. Nikola Tesla had a dream, which would be anyone's dream. Some people dream of their children becoming better than they are. And that's what your ancestors had once thought of you. They were thinking of you in that way. So you can be better than they are. It's a state of mind. Nikola Tesla had a dream. Where he was in his native country, had he stayed there, that dream would have never been made possible. So if you don't know who Nikola Tesla is, you need to do some research on him. In the American dream, you will fail. You will fail as much as you can. But because it's a state of mind, even when you fail, you're just going to keep trying again. You understand? And I think that's the fear a lot of people have. There is no way you can accomplish the American dream as they say it is when you're afraid of moving forward, or when you're afraid of failure. All the successful people in life today, they fail many times. They were told no many times. But again, the American dream is a state of mind. Even though they had failed all these many times, even though they had been told no many times, they never stopped. They kept pushing on, just like that little child learning how to walk. The first time they took the first steps, they fell. The second time they fell. The third time they fell. But it never stopped there. They kept pushing on. And then eventually they started walking. That, my friend, is the American dream. It's not about hard work. It's not about all that things they told you. Because I remember when I first came into this country, I used to see on commercial where they'll show a nice house, a nice car, 2 car in a garage, and a nice family with a kid, a husband and a wife. And the commercial says, this is what you're going to get. It's the American dream. That's not the American dream. The American dream is or are beyond, you thinking beyond all of that. The American dream, my friends, is the next generation. what marks, what your legacy for the next generation. That's the American dream. It's always been that. The American dream is all about the state of mind in the next generation. If you understand that, your goal in life would be to achieve as much as you can for the next generation, so they are not wallowing in poverty. If you didn't do, or if you were not able to leave enough for them behind, make sure that they get better education, good education, because that will lead them. And not only that, again, they still have to think and use their mind to go beyond whatever is presented to them in the American reality. So you understand? So when you hear of the American dream, it has nothing, absolutely nothing, to do with hard work. From the Common Sense channel, the American dream has everything to do with the way you think. It's a state of mind. And if you understand that, you can beat everything. You can beat the system, and you will never be caught, because it's the way you think. You're thinking ahead. So the system is right here. You're thinking way on this side. So you're thinking 7 times ahead of the system, because the system see you as laborer, peasant, worker. That's all you are. You're nothing but that. The system sees you as a number. That's why all of us, apart from our DNA, we're numbers. If you're born in this country, you're a number. All of us are numbers. You know the number I'm talking about, but all of us are numbers, even though we are human beings, but we are numbers. Just like in the prison system, most time they don't call you by your name, they call you by your number, right? We're not called by that number, but we know them. Even if you go to sleep, you wake up, they ask you for that number. You know it. That's what we are. And that's how the system sees us. Now, you can look at that and say, you know what? I'm not that number. And then you can remove yourself. Now, all those people that try to extract themselves from that number system, it's not that easy for them either to get out of the system. The system will make it harder. That's the process of you tripping, falling, tripping, falling, tripping, falling, tripping. And then eventually you stand up, you start walking. But again, through all that process, it's the way you think, because the system is doing everything to discourage you, to make you to back out. You understand? Persistency, commitment, and continuously thinking about ways to beat it. And then when the system sees that there's nobody can stop you, then it just let you be. It welcome you into the system. Now you're part of them. That, my friend, is the American dream. It's not all that stuff we're doing here. 9 to 5, go here to get this. It's not the American dream. It's you being part of the number system for which the system is set up for. It's capitalism. Capitalism is not bad. I'm just telling you, you can make it in it, but you have to have a different mindset. You cannot think like everyone in a capitalistic society, as America is now. So if you really want to achieve the American dream, as they say it is, you have to change the way you think. The way you think has to change. If you're hanging out with people that are not progressive in their thinking, respectfully disassociate yourself from them. Hang around with people who are thinking forward. They're thinking about ways, not in a dubious way now. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about in a way where you feel you're moving forward. You're being progressive. You're being proactive. That's the method I'm talking about. So as I've always done on all my videos. And by the way, I just want to say this. The Common Sense channel has a new subscriber. I'm telling you. I noticed that this morning. I was so excited. I'm like, wow. Welcome, my friend, to the Common Sense channel. On this channel, my friend, we get to talk about those things that people know, people have thought about, but don't often have the time to discuss. That's the thing. Or these are the things we talk about here on the Common Sense channel. So welcome to the Common Sense channel. I want to welcome you and your loved ones. I hope you learn from what we do here. We try to make this different. Understand? We try to talk about things that people don't want to talk about because I feel there are a lot of distractions out there. For me, I don't have a problem with people being distracted if they want to. For me, everything is a choice. That's why I believe people have the right to do whatever they want to do. You can do whatever you want to do as long as it's not affecting me, I'm fine. If you want to be distracted, be distracted. Understand? There are a lot of distraction out there. So I think you're in the right place. We have figured out a way to talk about those things that people don't want to talk about. So we talk about. So today, I just want to talk to you, my friends, my viewers, my people, about the American dream. I'm not going to do the cliche thing. Hard work, dedication, like coming to America when that guy was talking about telling Eddie Murphy and the other ones. What's the guy? I forgot his name, man. Not Akeem, but the other guy. What the American dream is? No, that's not what we do. The American dream is none of that, Iggy. The American dream, my friend, is the way you think. Don't get yourself, you can, there are a lot of people that outsmart the system. But the system is designed to see you. The system is like that movie, Hill Got Eyes. Or I think it's Hill Got Eyes. Yes, I think, yeah, that's the title. Yeah, the hill has eyes and it will see you. But if you use your mind right, if you're strategic, if you're thinking straight, if you're linking or networking with the right people, people with the same mindset as you, or if you're hanging out with people who understand what the American dream is, maybe they can link you too. But you have to be smart. You have to be thinking straight. And a lot of people in our society are not thinking straight. That's why people are upset. Because they feel that the American dream is a physical thing. You go, you work 2, 3, 4, 5 jobs. If you work 2, 3 jobs, 4 jobs, basically you're just giving the system money, free money. That's what you're doing. But you have to work smart. And working smart has to do a lot with the way you're thinking. It's your state of mind, my friend. The American dream has been the state of mind from the beginning of this country, the inception of this country, and it still is today. It's a state of mind. Imagine an entire race of people went through slavery in this country. In the heat of slavery, There are millionaires, black people in this country. Has anyone ever asked how they done it? How those black people, black ancestors, were able to, in spite of everything they had been through, to rise up and create their own cities and towns and become millionaires in this country. You understand? Wasn't too hard work. It was still the way they think. You understand? Say, the American dream is actually the way you think, my friend. So what I'm saying is, going forward, for some of our elders that have already passed this, they're older now, and everything they've done is the backward. Don't feel despair. For the young ones, start to change the way you think. That's why on the Common Sense channel, I always say think. Everything in your life begins with the way you think. Even if you take on a job, look, the only reason why you get promotion, except somebody just want to be mean to you, you understand? But if you apply yourself, it's not about how long you've been on the job. You can come on the job like tomorrow, today. If you know how to apply yourself, and the way you apply yourself is the way you think. Look, you can beat everyone in that job and become their boss. You understand? If you can do that at your job, why can't you do that for yourself? You see the point? So, but all of us, again, must go through stages, you know? But it doesn't mean that when you're going through stages, you still don't remember your dream. Because it's the American dream, right? You're just going through stages. And in order for you to get there, you have to go through these stages. And that's all you're going through. You don't have to step on someone to get there. You don't have to. You just have to rely on the way you think. And whatever you think in your head, your goals, your aspiration, my friends, don't derail it for anything. Always ponder on it. Always keep it in mind. Every day, repeat it in your head. And the more you do, the more it becomes realistic to you. So again, I want to thank everyone for watching my videos, for supporting me, for continuing to be there on my channel, watch my videos, especially those who continue to subscribe on my channel. I want to thank you. Those that watch my video, I hope you're learning. I hope everything is pleasant for you and your family. So I've always said the greatest thing that can ever happen to anyone is not the day you're born, the day you graduate from high school, college, the day you have your first child, the day you got your first job. None of that stuff. The greatest thing that can ever happen to you is the day you discover yourself, my friend. When you do, the American dream will make sense to you. But it all has to do with the way you think. Change your mindset and you will see. Thank you.